This is the Emotional Vocabulary Series by Duenas. Today we will address the emotion of expose. Have you ever felt vulnerable, like all your flaws and insecurities were on display? Let's explore the emotion of feeling exposed, its roots, its impact, and how to turn vulnerability into strength. Introduction. Feeling exposed is a deeply vulnerable emotional state, often characterized by the fear that personal flaws, secrets, or weaknesses have been revealed or are at risk of being revealed. This emotion touches on our need for privacy, acceptance, and control over how others perceive us. While exposure can lead to discomfort and insecurity, it also holds the potential for growth and connection when navigated constructively. Including this emotion in our vocabulary helps us acknowledge our vulnerabilities, foster self-acceptance, and build resilience in the face of challenges. Definitions. Layman's definition. Feeling exposed is the sense of being vulnerable or unprotected, often accompanied by fear, embarrassment, or anxiety about how others perceive you. Clinical definition. Exposure, in psychological terms, refers to a state of heightened vulnerability or perceived threat due to the potential or actual revelation of personal information, flaws, or insecurities. Perception and expression in everyday contexts. In daily life, feeling exposed may arise in situations like public speaking, sharing personal experiences, or being the subject of scrutiny. This emotion is often expressed through physical symptoms such as blushing, sweating, or stammering, and behavioral responses like avoidance or defensiveness. Origins. Evolutionary roots. Feeling exposed is tied to the human need for social acceptance and safety within groups. In early human history, being exposed or singled out could mean rejection, loss of protection, or even survival threats, making this emotion a protective mechanism. Cultural dimensions. Cultural norms heavily influence feelings of exposure. In societies with strong emphasis on reputation or honor, individuals may feel exposed by actions or circumstances that challenge these values. Conversely, cultures that celebrate openness may view exposure as a pathway to authenticity and connection. Biological mechanisms. The amygdala plays a key role in processing feelings of exposure, triggering stress responses when vulnerability is perceived. Neurotransmitters like serotonin, which regulate mood, also influence how individuals process and cope with exposure-related anxiety. Effects of exposed on psyche. Feeling exposed can lead to heightened self-consciousness, reduced self-esteem, and anxiety. However, it can also prompt self-reflection and personal growth when handled constructively. On daily life. Exposure affects habits and choices, often leading to avoidance of situations that might reveal perceived flaws or vulnerabilities. On family and friends. Feelings of exposure can deepen relationships when vulnerability is shared and supported, but may also create distance if met with judgment or rejection. In the workplace. In professional settings, feeling exposed may hinder confidence, collaboration, or risk-taking. However, when managed well, it can foster authenticity and trust within teams. On freedom. Prolonged feelings of exposure limit personal freedom by fostering fear of judgment, discouraging self-expression, and creating barriers to pursuing opportunities or relationships. Examples. Personal story. College student feels exposed after accidentally revealing personal struggles in a group discussion, but later receives support and encouragement from peers. Societal behavior. The rise of social media often amplifies feelings of exposure, as individuals share personal details or are subject to public scrutiny. Historical event. The publication of whistleblowers' personal information highlights the complex emotions of exposure, balancing fear of backlash with the courage to reveal critical truths. Challenges in mental health to deal with persistent feelings of exposure. Persistent feelings of exposure can contribute to social anxiety, PTSD, or even paranoia, especially when individuals have faced judgment, rejection, or humiliation in the past. These emotions can lead to self-isolation, avoidance behaviors, and difficulty forming trusting relationships, necessitating therapeutic intervention in severe cases. Management and mitigation. Strategies. Self-acceptance. Practice self-compassion to reduce the fear of judgment and embrace your imperfections. Therapy. Techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or exposure therapy can help individuals process and overcome feelings of vulnerability. Communication. Openly discussing feelings of exposure with trusted individuals can foster understanding and reduce anxiety. Resources. Support groups focused on building confidence and resilience, books and workshops on vulnerability and emotional intelligence, professional counseling for managing social anxiety or trauma related to exposure. Conclusion. Feeling exposed is a challenging but deeply human experience that reveals our need for acceptance, privacy, and understanding. By recognizing and addressing this emotion, individuals can transform vulnerability into strength, foster deeper connections, and cultivate a sense of authenticity and confidence. Developing emotional intelligence around exposure empowers us to embrace our humanity, navigate challenges with resilience, and live more freely and fully. This was The Emotion of Exposed from the Emotional Vocabulary series by Duenas.